Hey guys, welcome back for what is probably going to be the final Warden 1 audio and author notes. I'm hoping it is anyway. I've got like 20 pages to read through, but these chapters are really quick. So, without further ado, I will crack on from where we left last time. And if we remember, Alice found her daughter doing some very surreal stuff on the gallows. Becky isn't as innocent as what she seemed, and we already knew that, but now poor Alice gets to know that now too. So, we will lead on to the next chapter called Sick Children, and we're back in with Alice, and who knows what's going to happen, especially with Mannequin as well, lurking around in his shot to death form. Right, three, two, one. The knife sticks with a hefty thud as it splinters the wooden platform of the gallows, right by the side of the man's head. What is this sickening display? I want to rush out, but at the same time common sense is holding me back. Surely that creature on the platform is not my sweet, bubbly girl. She must have been forced into doing this. Perhaps, like me, she's just trying to survive and doing anything in her power to survive. But then what if she isn't? Men and women cheer in the crowd as Becky gets to her feet. Cut him loose and pass him a mask, or a sack. He passed my test. Becky huffs and begins to stretch joyfully whilst the man in the red mask shuffles around the platform. After a moment, the man in red chucks a brown sack to the man that was once pinned to the floor of the gallows. He catches it and puts it over his head. With a gorilla-like roar, he begins hammering on his chest like a wild beast as he turns to the crowd. The crowd in turn cheer for the man. Becky slaps his naked butt before the man finally jumps down from the gallows and begins raiding the corpses for clothes. Rags are tossed everywhere, so it isn't long before he's clothed in rags and joins the crowd of bagheads. Becky paces back and forth in front of the other remaining naked men, while spinning the knife around her palms. Rose, we only have one mask left. The others have had it. Pass one more and then put the others to the death, says the man in the red mask. That's okay. I'm itching to test out these gallows, and I have enough fuck slaves to keep me amused until we get into the next sector. Becky stops speaking as she stands still in front of Benny. Looking down at his tool, she gasps, my, Grandad. You are well equipped. You want some of this sweet ass, baby? Becky slaps her arse cheek. Reckon you can last 20 minutes, old timer? Becky giggles to herself as she instructs the demon masked man to lay Benny down. Before you continue the night's festivities, might I ask what you plan to do about this snooping woman? A voice speaks out from behind me, causing me to spin around. There he is, the man who had been ever so calm in the prison cell, smiling at me as he shines a torchlight on my face. There is nothing I can do. I can barely run thanks to my feet, and the crowd of bagheads are rushing towards me from all sides. I'm screwed. The bagheads don't even need to run towards me though, as the man with the torch is fast and grabs me by the arms. Dragging me out into the open, his grip is intense and strong, but now out in the clearing, all the crazies can see me. Everyone is silent as they all gawp at me, except for the smartly dressed man. You remember me, do you not, Miss Madid? He beams a smile down at me as he stands in the light of one of the many barrel fires. From head to toe, he is covered in splattered blood, but even if he was clean, I don't know the man. Shaking my hand in reply, he speaks again. Well, I have had my vocals changed and some extensive plastic surgery done, but I guess I can tell you my name. Do you remember little Jack, one of Jamie's best friends? My mind begins to scream with worry. Surely it isn't him. The first ever horror book I wrote that made me the literary genius I am today is based on a very real horror story. Jack Cole was a 16-year-old lad when the truth of his crimes came to light. He butchered 7 people, and police reports say he pulled apart most of their organs. He also apparently had intercourse with many of the dead girls. Police failed to capture him as he fled the country with his father, who was a powerful MP at the time. So you recall my name then, and who I used to be. Then again, why would you not? You who got famous from my so-called crimes. Jack laughs in my face. I notice that even his teeth are covered in blood. Are you the reason my Becky is here? Is this your doing? A girlish snort comes from the gallows as I ask my question. Police reported that 7 people died, 4 were mutilated, and 2 were sexually assaulted whilst dead. I admit to the sexual assaults, but as for the actual kills and the mutilation, they were all done by one and only. Jack smiles as he points at Becky. My throat runs dry as my gut churns. Jack lets go of me as several backheads come over and hold on to me. I can feel their dirty fingers burying deep into my skin. Looking over at Becky, I watch as she sits down at the edge of the gallows and then waves at me. Hello, Mummy. I'm shocked you lived so long in here, but since you are here, we can test out these gallows. Becky snorts as she begins to giggle with delight. What the fuck is wrong with you? What did I do as a mother to make you turn out this way? You were my sweet little girl. Once more Becky snorts in reply to my words. Remember how many animals we used to have when we were little? Well, they didn't just up and vanish. I've been broken for a long time now, Mummy, and I love it. The blood, the screams, the sense of power, and the smell of rotting. My home is here. Becky flips the knife around in her hands. You think it was coincidence that I took drama class? I took drama to become a better killer, so I could lie better and play exciting roles. Do you even know what it feels like to kill a man whilst they are inside you? It's the most exhilarating feeling in the world. You can feel all that life drain straight up you. I can't believe what I'm hearing, and I can't hold back the vomit any longer as I begin to cough up small bits of food onto the muddy ground. This woman in front of me is not my Becky. People who took me and brought me here killed your dad. Do you know anything about that, Becky? Froggy and Muppet didn't kill Dad. Becky continues to snort at me like a little piggy as the masked man came to her side. Slowly takes off the vulgar demon mask. I had had my suspicions, but seeing it come true is just another mental blow. Both of my kids are in on this. Not only do I have Becky grinning at me, I now have Jamie doing the same too. Me and Becky made sure to test yours and Dad's bed springs before helping Froggy and Muppet capture you. Oh, and hello, Mother. Jamie gave me a sort of half-sadistic grin. I will prep the gallows, Rose. What you want me to do with the other tied-up people? Asked Jamie as he no longer acknowledges my existence. Screw it. Kill all of them. I have enough toys. Once we get to the next sector, it will be far more fun. We will reunite with the rest of the clowns. From what I can see, Jamie appears to take his orders from Becky, and following her words, he places a mask back over his face. It is quite the strange twist, as Jamie had always had Becky following after him, and she used to do everything he would ask when they were little. Now the tables are turned, as Jamie begins viciously stabbing a man in the face with a small knife, laughing as he does it. Benny, along with the other captives, remain still, scared out of their minds, but they do nothing but watch as 2 tied-up men try to run as fast as they can away from the gallows. They manage to jump off the stage, but with their legs tied, they can't get very far before the bagheads close in and start beating them to death with blunt objects. Every single one of these crazy people appear to take their orders from my daughter, but why? What makes her so superior in this place? Wait, what are you doing? I scream as one of the bagheads begin to drag me over to the gallows steps. Once more I protest as they try to drag me up the wooden stairs. As I get off a few more frantic shouts, Becky rushes over to me and sucker punches me in the face. That rattles my jaw. All I can do is slump over due to the pain. I'm surprised that my jaw is not broken from all the punishment it has taken so far. The 2 bagheads carrying me release their grip as Becky kicks me in the gut. Hurts worse than the punch, and with no support to hold me up, I flop to the ground hard. I have no idea whether I am lucky or cursed, because I get my wish. From where I lay, I can see the 2 numbers etched into the gallows steps, 22. Now combining them with the number Benny has, I have the entire code to get through the Sector 1 door and Sector 2. I just need some way to get out of this mess and escape my sick children. And with that, that ends that chapter. And the next chapter, straight off from that, is called Hangman. And once more, we are continuing with Alice. Being poked, shoved and dragged, the bagheads eventually get me up all 13 wooden steps and onto the gallows platform. They forced me to walk forward even with bleeding feet, forcing me towards a hanging noose as they pushed me with dirty hands. My own kids looking at me with their creepy masks as Jamie holds the lever that will send me to my doom, and Becky is loosening the noose so that my head can fit better inside. My children have subjected me to this horror. I don't know where I failed them as a mother, as I always tried to do my best to cater to their each and every whim. Where and when did my children get so mentally screwed up, and how the fuck did I not even see it? Becky and Jamie were always treated well. Never did they go without, and never were they treated any different from one another. If Jamie got a phone, so did Becky. If Jamie got money, so did Becky. There was no special child in our family, and they were both treated equally. These two people in front of me are like strangers. Smiling as she places the rough rope noose around my neck and tightens it, Becky places a soft kiss on my lips. I had always wondered in what special way I would kill you. Me and Jamie often fantasized over it. I'm just glad we will still have the chance to act on such desires. Becky smiles as she pulls the gas mask over her face fully. Waving her arms in the air, Becky gets the crowd of bagheads riled up as she pushes Jamie away from the bronze lever that will send me to my doom. At least it will be quick, or at least I hope so. Remember, Rose, I want a corpse afterwards, says Jack coldly from the front of the platform. Closing my eyes, I now realise what true horror is. It isn't the dead, it's the living that are truly terrifying. Sure enough, I have witnessed firsthand that the dead are frightening, but nothing compares to the destructive nature and evil intentions of the living. 10, 9, 8. The crowd begin to shout out a countdown. Once they shout 1, I shall be hanged. 7, 6, 5. Wait a minute. Perhaps there is a way for me to get out. You want out of here, don't you, Becky? You want to get into the next sector? Well, I have the code for the door. I have no idea what possessed me to blurt out what I said, but I want to live. Why am I even trying to save my own skin, though? Becky, whose hands are firmly gripped on the bronze lever, slowly removes them, along with her mask. Bullshit. You don't have the code. Stalling for time, Mrs. Madid, shouts Jack, who is now at the front of the crowd. Sadly, my mother doesn't lie, Jack, says Becky bitterly. Becky heads over to me and looks me in the eyes with evil intent. If you have the code, then spit it out. I can see that Becky doesn't like this predicament. She wants the code for the door, and I have it. Spit it out, you fucking bitch. Becky slaps me hard across the face, making my right cheek sting and my ear ring. Before it was a punch and a kick, and now a slap. I have a question for you first, Becky. How is it that you came to be in control of these freaks? Again, she slaps me around the face, softer this time, but it still hurts and makes my ear ring. She killed Butch and took his head. How else do you think one gains control of the bagheads in the asylum? Jamie says bluntly, yet with a smug attitude. Try my hardest not to laugh as I get myself out of the noose. I feel a wealth of confidence spread over me as Becky slowly backs away from me. I can see it in her face. She doesn't want me to reveal the truth, but I think it's about time these freaks learnt it. Becky didn't kill Butch. I did, and with his very own chainsaw. She may have taken his head and his mask, but the one who killed him was me. Becky just picked the corpse clean. Becky's face curdles. She is getting angry and ready to throw a classic tantrum. All around the bagheads have fallen silent. Did they seriously comprehend that I did indeed kill Butch? She's lying. Let's just hang the bitch now. Better yet, I'll stab her to death. Becky lunges at me with a knife, but Jamie steps in and hits her across the face. You had one fucking job to do in here. Kill Butch and gain control of these idiots, shouts Jamie as Becky recoils away from him, scared. Jamie may have taken his orders earlier off Becky, but was that part of some domineering act? I can see the fear in Becky's face. Jamie scares her. She was never in control. Jamie is the one who has always been in control. So what if she does know the code? We can find it ourselves. And you said it yourself, Becky. Our mother doesn't lie. Now do the job properly and kill. A loud scream comes from the crowd of bagheads, interrupting Jamie's speech. He has arrived, the mannequin. wrapping his plastic grotesque body around a baghead like a deformed snake, his mouth tearing out the cloth bag on the man's head. The man tries his best to shake off the plastic menace, but to all the other crazies it becomes clear who it is, and who it is enough to send them scuttling in every direction. Jamie, Becky, and Jack are too focused on the chaos, making it the perfect time to escape. Slowly stepping back, I grab a hold of Benny, who has remained still the entire time at the back of the gallows platform. Rather than run for all it's worth and risk being spotted, I decide to leave Benny under the gallows. It's dark under there, and the ground seems to be alive as I can feel bugs scurrying around in the soft dirt. I have no real choice but to hide under the gallows as my feet hurt and are still bleeding, although not as much as before. Untying Benny, we both kneel under the gallows, peering out of the framework so we can see what is happening in the self-made camp. The crazies are under attack by a mannequin, but the screams suddenly stop. The guy mannequin had in his grip flops backward as the deformed mannequin seems to peel off and remain lifeless on the floor. "Becky, you stupid little whore! How could you even think of pulling that crap with Butch?" shouts Jamie angrily. "I'm sorry, baby. Mummy was gone and Butch was just laying there dead. I honestly didn't think she would have killed him," says Becky with sadness lacing her voice. "We need to get out of here and regroup before the mannequin decides to make us victims. How did he even get out? Why is he even in Sector 1? Says Jack as he stuffs his bloodied hands inside his waistcoat pockets. "What we need to do is find my mother and kill her in front of the baghead so that Becky will once again regain authority over them. They may just buy that our mother is lying if we convince them enough. Don't forget that once we get into Sector 2, we will be playing against our friends, so we will need all the manpower we can get. Jack, grab the chainsaw. We'll take that with us. Last thing I want is a mannequin having that." Jamie gave his orders, and Becky, along with Jack, followed them. "Thanks for saving me. So what now?" whispers Benny. I shush him quiet as the baghead that was attacked by the mannequin stands up and tears off the remaining piece of cloth draped over his head. He begins inspecting every inch of himself before a creepy and sadistic smile appears on his face underneath a mountain of bristle. He doesn't stay standing for long though, as a near shattering bang sputs the air. And that ends that chapter, and I'll get straight on to the next one. I think we have like 5 or 6 more pages here left to go, guys, so not much left now. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. A lot of errors and a lot of mistakes I've noticed in this first edition. The next chapter is called The Steel Door to Hell, and we'll be still continuing with Alice here. Benny and I watch as a heavily bearded man's head explodes from a single bullet. A tiny entrance hole in the middle of the head right between the eyes left a very nasty and huge exit hole. The man collapses onto the floor, face down as blood begins to surround his body like a puddle. "You can come out from under there, the both of you." A familiar voice speaks as I watch a man rush into the camp, gun raised and on high alert. "What the fuck are you both waiting for? Christmas? Or for me to wipe your ass? Dear Lord, it is him. That scruffy git who had hit me with the butt of his gun, held me hostage, forced me to go into the den of the mannequin, and even looked at me like some piece of meat. Me and Benny don't want to move, but the paranoid man claims that he will begin to shoot randomly under the stage. Benny and I have no choice but to move. Sadly, my feet are now in that much pain that Benny has to help me along. He carefully drags me out and lets me rest on his quite muscular shoulders. For a grandad, he sure looks after his body. The grizzly gun-wielding lunatic looks down at me as I sit down. He looks all over me like he's undressing me in his mind, and then he glares at my bloodied and bleeding feet. With those injuries, he may as well be as good as dead. He aims the gun at me before carrying on speaking. "Give me the code for the door, and I promise you a quick and painless death." I can't even say a word as Benny leaps to my defense. "Is that how soldiers treat people? Who are you and why do you have a gun?" "I don't have time for pointless questions. Just give me the code for the fucking door and I shall be on my way." Benny tries to speak, but this time I cut him off. I decide it's for the best to just give the madman what he wants, like it matters anyway as long as he leaves afterwards. Lowering the gun, he waits for Benny to utter the final number. Benny is being stubborn and refuses to give the final number out until the gun is once more pointed at my head. If you care for her life so much, then you will give me the last number now. Before the mannequin comes around, I swear I will put a bullet through her temple. She's no use to me now. Benny gives in and he says the last number as a crackle erupts in my ear. Stop him. Do not let Sean leave. Trust me, he is your only way out. He knows the prison better than I do. Tell him to stop now, yells Sigurd through my ear. It has been some time since I heard from my so-called mysterious helper. The man with the gun, who I now know is called Sean, is already making his way to the other exit, following the gravel path. I shout loudly after him, but he continues onwards. It is only when I shout his name that he stops, turns back and heads in mine and Benny's direction. He looks even grumpier than usual, and perhaps even more trigger-happy as he raises his gun. Speak now. How do you know my name? I don't recall ever giving you my name. I wait for Sigurd to stop speaking as he is muttering incredibly fast. He tells me to report back what he is telling me to Sean, word for word if I can. You have to get me out of here. I have the ability to see the dead, the gift of sight, and I can help you escape. Sigurd is helping me as much as possible, but there isn't a lot he can do from his position. Currently, the cameras and microphones are on the fritz in the gardens, thanks to the mannequin. He says if we can find Bud and Dave, they will also take our side and help. I speak quickly, leaving myself breathless. With a crackle, Sigurd's voice fades. All he is really interested in is a big fat paycheck. Should I survive this? But will this Sean actually help me? He's certainly thinking about it. Okay, hey Gramps, get some clothes from the bodies. We need to get you to the infirmary in Sector 2, quickly. So we need to go through the doors now before you bleed out and die. Come on people, hurry up! Sean seems agitated as he keeps a close eye on the man he's shot in the head. My only question is, what did he stand to gain from having me around? Benny did as he was told, and quickly found rags laying around, and did his best to quickly bandage my feet. For a reporter and for how fast he bandaged them, I would guess that Benny has some medical knowledge. Even Sean seems somewhat impressed by the standards of wrapping. The bandages soothe my feet, but I can no longer walk on them as I try to get to my feet, and instantly fall back down. In the end, Benny, along with Sean, propped me up on their shoulders and started to carry me along. As we head in the direction my son, daughter, and the other bagheads fled in. Seems there are two entrances to the garden as we leave for a northern exit. The doors have been ripped away just like the other entrance. Cannon arms strung all around them, but no shards of glass or needles lay around on the floor. As sadistic and sick as I mentally picture the Sean, I can't help but feel safe with him now that he's helping me. For some crazy reason, it just puts my mind at ease. Having Benny around is also a blessing. Why Sigurd wanted me to lose him is a mystery to me, and he never said anything about Benny last time we spoke. Sean and Benny do their best to support me and make sure my feet hardly touch the ground down the eastern corridor. This hallway that must span the entire length of the asylum was much like the first hall I entered when the warden was chasing me. Endless rows of metal doors and offices line the walls of the hall. Paint peeled from the brick and graffiti is ever present. The further we go, the quieter it becomes. The only sound I can hear is the two men huffing and puffing as they aid me. Taking in the atmosphere and having a good look around me, I notice an open vault-like door. As we pass by, I get a good look inside as dim lights light up enough of the room. There are so many bodies piled up inside, and so many scattered. Of course, it isn't unusual in a place like this, but still my mouth moves of its own accord, and a gasp of shock escapes my lips. It's only going to get worse the further on we go. This is prime baghead territory. They use these office rooms for killing, rapes, and all manner of sick fetishes. They also tend to sleep here, so be on guard, says Sean in a hurried tone. No sooner had he said it though, we passed by the offices filled with half-naked and decapitated bodies inside. In some rooms the odd light still flickers, and you can see women with their eyeballs removed, and some with their flesh peeled back like an onion. Still, this is not the most horrifying sight. Worse was approaching as the steel door to Sector 2 is in sight. Normally, it is heavily guarded, but due to the warden making a new home in the shower area, not many bagheads had wanted to stay close to the steel entrance to hell. Along the walls, and even dangling from the ceiling by thick rusty chains, are dead men and women. It's hard to differentiate between the sexes, as each of the 16 victims has been entirely skinned. Eyes and tongue have also been removed. I've never seen such a gruesome sight. Sean tells me and Benny that this was the work of the warden, and that in Sector 2 there are dozens of hallways like this one. This is the warden's way of welcoming people to his hell. He runs his prison, nobody else. Moving through dangling corpses, Sean and Benny tread carefully so they don't slip on the large pools of blood. Getting closer to the door, both me and Benny are taken aback at the sheer size. The door is gigantic, big enough for an elephant to pass through, but for all its size, it has a tiny keypad to the side of the door with many buttons and symbols upon it. On the actual steel door is what appears to be some type of digital countdown clock. Not a noise can be heard throughout the asylum. Normally there are screams, but there is nothing but silence. It puts Sean on edge. Okay, we are here. Hurry up and put the code in whilst I keep watch. I don't like this feeling. I have in my gut, and it isn't the hungry type of feeling either, says Sean in a low whisper. He leaves me and Benny by the small console, whilst he takes to one knee and keeps his sight staring down the gun. Where we are is like an L-shaped corridor. Right at the steel door are a set of double doors splashed in red blood. A sign above reads shower room. No noise comes from within, but steam is coming out from underneath the doors. Looking at Sean as Benny props me up, I can see he's agitated. His senses on high alert. Whispering the numbers to Benny, he quickly hammers in the code for the door. A small display above the keypad shows 6 stars being entered. 1 star for each digit entered. After Benny hits the enter key, the stars vanish and are replaced with a bright green code accepted. Benny sighs in relief as he smiles at me, and I smile back, but our happiness doesn't last long, as a booming voice is heard. Attention everybody within Sector 1! The door to Sector 2 shall be opening soon. The correct code has been entered and accepted. Any participants remaining in the horror games may wish to proceed as soon as possible to the Sector 1 door, located near the shower room. Sector 1 will shortly be filled with poisonous gas. I wish all remaining participants good luck and happy hunting. The loud robotic voice stopped speaking, or so I think. T-minus 10 minutes until Sector 1 fills with gas. T-minus 4 minutes until the doorway to Sector 2 opens. Over and over, the robotic message plays through all the speakers in the asylum. No wonder Sean is so agitated. Every single baghead, crazy, and any remaining players are going to be headed right for us. And that now leads us on to the very last chapter of the first book. And so, this chapter is called End of the Line, and once more we are following Alice into, well, let's just see here. Not even a minute has passed before screams, manic laughter, and wails are heard down both hallways. What was once a quiet hall is now filled with a cacophony of sounds. It is like the bagheads and other forms of crazy are barreling down on us. Frightened, Benny holds me tight. Glancing across to Sean, I notice he hasn't made a single move. He stays still, focused. Only his upper body and the gun moves as he sweeps from corridor to corridor, aiming down the sight. Essentially, he has become a human turret. Beads of sweat drip down his face, and his fingers are twitching. He has to defend me and Benny and stop anyone coming down both corridors. There is also the possibility of the warden coming straight out of the shower room. Resting against the steel door as Benny tries his best to aid Sean, I hear Sean for the first time in minutes. He aggressively tells Benny to fuck off and to not distract him. You're going to die! Die, die, die! A woman's manic voice and laughter rings down the north corridor. Footsteps can now be heard as they approach from both halls. Whoever these people are, they seem to be walking in unison. And I have a gut feeling my children are behind this. Both want me dead, and for no reason whatsoever. Well, there is a reason. For their own sick pleasure. With two thunderous bangs, Sean fires off 2 rounds, one bullet down each corridor into the dark depths. Only after the rounds are fired, the footsteps halt. "You cannot kill us, Mr. Soldier." That is Becky's voice coming from the dark. I notice a sarcastic tone. Sean, however, gives a sly smirk. "Won't say that, you deranged cow. There's only a few of you, and I have plenty of rounds left. But if you feel like dying, then please step a little closer." Sean smiles as he remains calm, no shred of fear in his voice. Met with silence, Sean stays steady. Sidge was right. Without this man, I would be dead. So would Benny. Although there is still a strong possibility that we can all end up dead. Only 1 minute remains now on the countdown, and Becky's group hasn't moved an inch, but they are muttering amongst themselves. T-minus 30 seconds until the door to Sector 2 opens. T-minus 5 minutes until the gas in Sector 1 is released. The robotic voice cuts out as an all too familiar metal grating noise comes from inside the shower room. That noise makes all my hair stand on end. Sean takes his focus off the 2 hallways immediately and turrets around to face the direction of the metal grating. He is coming. The Warden. Sean's hands now shake. Benny panics, trying to push open the huge steel door, hoping for some kind of miracle. Roars of laughter erupt on with hooting as the 2 hallways begin shouting ominous words. We can't even run. Each exit is blocked off by dozens of bagheads, and now even I begin to panic. Slowly the shower room doors start to open, and as they do, a gust of hot steam clouds up the area. Benny and Sean are in. The steam stinks of something foul, but as the mist dies down and begins to evaporate, the Warden is stood there looking at all 3 of us, bloodied cleaver in hand. The steel door hasn't even opened yet, and the Warden is already lifting the huge cleaver off the ground. He plans to cleave all 3 of us in one swoop. Sean, aiming the gun at the Warden's head, pops off 3 quick rounds, none of them missing their mark, and each bullet driving straight through the many leathery faces, splitting them apart at the seams. The Warden's cleaver stops midair and drops to the floor with a heavy clang. As for the Warden, he remains stood, unwavering. Sean, acting on impulse, swiftly rushes the Warden and drop kicks him in the left knee, bringing the huge monster down to our height. Still, the Warden doesn't fall. Sean even begins hitting the monster in the head with the butt of the gun, but the beast is unfazed. Is he perhaps dead? He isn't moving after all. "Hello, Mummy." Becky's voice came from the side of me, and as I turn to face her, I can see she is brandishing a knife. This is from me and Jamie. With force, she rams a jagged and filthy knife into my gut. A warm sensation runs over me, like a warm blanket is being wrapped around me. Funny, really. I feel no pain, even after Becky removes the knife. She kisses me gently on the forehead before whispering in my ear, "Now die, you old bitch, and make us all happy." Sadly, I don't have time or opportunity to torture you properly. I try to reach out and grab her, but my arms fall and go floppy. Warm blood trickles down my legs. That much I can feel as a bullet whistles by my head and hits Becky in the shoulder. She lets out a painful scream, but manages to run back to the safety of the darkness. Shit, Alice, you are bleeding out. Just stay with me, stay with us," says Benny in a panicked voice, as he presses his hand against my wound to stem the bleeding. Becky is gone, but the threat of the Warden remains. He still hasn't fallen. Sean even puts another 2 bullets into his dome, after we all see him reach for his cleaver. Finally, the steel doors swing open, making a noise much like a refrigerator door. Benny, with one hand on my gut, wraps me around his shoulder and tries to cart me to the doorway. Somehow he manages, and both of us are able to see inside. It's just one long stretch of white vinyl flooring with glass walls on either side. Unlike anything I've seen before, this corridor is immaculate, pristine, clean. Pain begins to kick in, and blood starts to froth in my mouth. I am no doubt done for, killed by my own bitch of a daughter. "Leave her behind now. She's done for. Nothing can be done for her," shouts Sean to Benny as my head flops onto Benny's shoulder. "I will not leave her behind. At the end of this tunnel are medical rooms. Get me there and I can save her. I'm a surgeon." A surgeon? Even in pain and dying, I don't ever recall Benny telling me he was a surgeon. He told me he was a journalist for the Sun newspaper. Did he lie? Who is he, really? Fuck. You're a stupid bastard, yells Sean as he rushes towards me and grabs my other arm to pull it around his shoulder, carrying me back to front as they both hurry through the door as I can see everything behind them. The warden is now standing tall once more, cleaver in hand. As flesh falls from his head, he starts to walk towards us and into the corridor. Though the passage wears bright lights, my vision is starting to fail. I can even make out a trail of my own blood on the floor. The warden steadily following it, dragging his cleaver. Okay, what now? Shouts Benny. Both he and Sean stop moving. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I hear a bang on metal, like someone just slammed a microwave door. Sean and Benny turn around to face the oncoming warden, and now I can see why they're in distress. In front of me is another steel door with a countdown timer of 2 minutes on it. There is no way we can last 2 minutes in this hallway with that unkillable monster. Here he comes, screams Benny. Ah, to fucking hell with it. Die, you fucker, shouts Sean as he lets go of me and begins to shoot round after round. It won't matter to me what happens as my eyes begin to close. Guess this is the end. Alice! Alice! Alice, wake up! We need to go now! The clowns are coming, says Benny in a hurried voice. And with that, that ends book 1. So, towards the end, it appears our Alice is dead. Whether she's dead or not, who knows? You'd have to read the second book, which I might start doing as well. And if I do start, it'll be on Friday. That was a lot of reading and a lot to get through. Sorry about mixing some words up there. And there's, because this is like the first edition, there's so much grammatically wrong. This was never edited properly. Not even by my standards, clearly. I wrote this about 6-7 years ago. My first horror. Since then, my writing's come a long, long way. Or at least I hope it has. I would like to thank you all for tuning in and listening to The Warden. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like and a thumbs up. And yep, subscribe, comment on anything that needs to be improved in future videos. And yeah, just thank you. Take care.